Married couple in India may soon save a significant amount in income tax, not through a complicated new scheme, not through aggressive tax planning, by simply through how they file their returns. As discussions intensify ahead of the Union Budget 2026, one proposal is quietly gaining attention across the policy circles and financial media. Joint taxation for married couple. If introduced, it could change how Indian families are taxed for the first time in decades. Today, India's income tax treats everyone strictly as individual. Marriage, shared finances, family responsibilities make no difference. A husband and wife are taxed as two completely separate earners, even if one income supports the entire households. On paper, this looks neutral and fair. In reality, it creates a structural imbalance that millions of Indian families experience every year. Most households do not have equal incomes. One spouse often earns significantly more, while the other may earn less, take career breaks, or focus on unpaid work such as childcare or elder care. The tax system does not recognize this reality. Consider a common middle-class household in urban India. One spouse earns 18 lakh rupees a year. The other earns 3 lakh rupees or sometimes nothing. The higher earner quickly moves into higher tax slabs and pays 30% tax on a large portion income. At the same time, the lower earner's basic exemption limit remains largely unused. As a household, this family pays more tax not because they are wealthy, but because income is unevenly distributed. This is not a loophole. This is not poor planning. It's simply how the current system works. Joint taxation would allow the married couples to combine their incomes and file a single tax return if they choose to do so. The keyword here is choice. Couples would not be forced to file joint. They could continue filing separately, exactly as they do today, or opt for joint taxation if it lowers their overall tax liability. Under the proposals being discussed ahead of the Budget 2026, joint filing would allow income averaging between the spouses. Instead of one person being pushed into higher tax brackets while the other's exemption goes unused, the combined income would be taxed more evenly. This approach is not new globally. Countries such as United States, Germany, France already use versions of joint or family-based taxation. India has historically avoided this, preferring individual taxation. But changing economic conditions are forcing to rethink. Tax experts argue that the joint taxation could effectively double the basic exemption for the married couples and allow the lower tax slabs to apply to a larger portion of the household income. For single-income families and households with unequal earnings, this could translate into meaningful savings, sometimes running into tens of thousands or even lakhs of rupees every year. So why is this idea surfacing now ahead of the Union Budget 2026? There are three reasons. First, middle-class families are under the pressure of inflation, rising education costs, housing EMIs, and healthcare expenses. Second one is the unpaid labor within households continue to economically invisible despite being essential. Third, the government is looking for targeted relief measures that do not involve the large tax rate cuts or fiscal instability. Joint taxation offers relief without rewriting the entire tax code. It acknowledges households as economic units while keeping flexibility intact. At the same time, the proposal is not without criticism. Some economists warn that the joint taxation could discourage workforce participation, particularly among women. If families choose to optimize tax savings by keeping one spouse out of the formal employment, others argue that benefits may disappropriately favor the urban middle-class households rather than low-income families. These concerns are valid. That's why the optional nature of joint taxation matters. A well-designed system offers choice, not compulsion. Couples should be free to decide what works best for their financial or professional lives. As of now, the joint taxation remains a proposal, not a confirmed policy. Whether it appears in the Budget 2026 or not, the discussion itself signals a shift. For decades, India taxed individuals while relying on families for economic stability. Joint taxation reflects a growing recognition that income, responsibility, and sacrifice are often shared. If introduced, it could mark a quiet but meaningful change in how the tax system sees Indian households. If you like this video, please subscribe.